Hi, this is Jens, and this is part 4 of a 5-part series about DNA in the Hazen murder case. In this part 4, I'll be addressing the question of why I didn't ask for DNA testing between 1990, the time of my trial, and 2009, when DNA tests were actually performed. Some people use this question to point the finger at me. They say that the fact that I did not ask for DNA testing in nearly 2 decades shows that I was afraid of the results, and that can only mean that I'm guilty. This, of course, is complete nonsense, and the people who make this charge know that it's nonsense. So let's look at the facts. This horrible crime happened in 1985, in a time before DNA testing was available. That was only introduced 4 years later in 1989. And in 1989, a forensic scientist called Elmer Gist Jr. filed this lab report, which I've linked up below. I always do that in all of these videos. You can always look at this yourself and check it out. In his lab report, Elmer Gist Jr. said that the 5 samples of blood group O were consumed during previous serological examinations, and they were no longer available for DNA testing. Consumed means all used up. There was nothing left to test. Now, please take a look at this. This is from my trial, transcript pages. 1 year later, in 1990, Elmer Gist repeated what he had said in his lab report in 1989. He said it again. Blood group O, had been consumed during previous serological examinations, therefore DNA tests are no longer possible. And that, folks, is why I didn't ask for DNA tests between 1990 and 2009. You can't ask for something to be tested that no longer exists. My lawyers and I believe this clown, Elmer Gist, and he is a clown and a liar. Because in 2009, it turned out that the exact samples that he said no longer existed did exist and could be DNA tested. In 2005, Governor Mark Warner instituted the post-conviction DNA testing program in Virginia. They simply tested absolutely everything they had in the files. Nobody had to file any paperwork. They just did it automatically. And I kind of assumed this would not apply to me because, after all, Elmer Gist had said there was nothing left to test. Imagine my surprise in 2009, at the end of this post-conviction DNA testing program, that at mail call, I was given an envelope with DNA test results that I linked up in the first part of this series. Turned out that the samples that Elmer Gist said didn't exist, did exist. They existed for 19 years. You can see them on page 3 and on page 5, I believe, of the DNA test report. 2 of the samples could be tested successfully. 3 of the samples were also tested, but they yielded no results. The point is, all 5 samples were available. Elmer Gist lied. And we had believed him. And that's why we didn't ask for DNA testing. What's important to know about Elmer Gist is that I'm not his only victim. In 1996, Ed Honaker received an absolute pardon. Completely innocent. He spent 10 years in prison, I think. At Ed Honaker's trial, Elmer Gist testified about hairs. And that led to Ed Honaker's conviction. Man was completely innocent, put away, innocent, by Elmer Gist. Ed Honaker's case is in the National Registry for Exonerations. You can read it up yourself. But now you have the answer to the question about why I didn't ask for DNA tests between 1990 and 2009. My lawyers and I believed Elmer Gist Jr., a liar.